Fujifilm is releasing a new Instax camera. Let's talk about it. So a couple of days ago on Instagram, Fujifilm on their Instax account in the stories showed photos of a guy with what looks like a new camera that was pixelated so you couldn't see what it was. So there was some speculation. A couple people thought it was a new Square, like a Square Evo, and I thought the same thing too, because when you look at the images, and I'll try to find it, put it on the screen, but when you look at the images, it has kind of the same color scheme of the wide Evo. So I was like, yay, cool, we're gonna need a new Square camera. Yesterday, Fujifilm / Instax released an unpixelated version of those photos, and it is actually the Instax Mini 41. So I have thoughts. My biggest thought is why? In the sense of there are already so many mini cameras out, and I think they just released the Mini 99 like last year. Why do we have another new mini camera? Like, the Square hasn't been getting much love. The most, not complicated, the Square with like the most options that I can think of was the Instax SQ6, and that was years ago and it was discontinued. And so the other Square cameras that have been released have all been just like basic point and shoot cameras. There was the Square hybrids, the Square or the SQ10, the SQ20, but again, I think that was like 10 years ago. So there really hasn't been any update in the Square format. But Instax decided to release like I said, a new mini. So we're gonna look at Fujifilm's like official page and go through it, and again, I'll give my thoughts. All right, so it says a stylish update in instant photography. Fujifilm introduces the Instax Mini 41. So we'll go down to some of the key features. It says it has automatic exposure functionality, which is pretty standard for all Instax cameras. Like, for the most part, they don't have any fully manual cameras where you can adjust the exposure. So they're all pretty much automatic exposure. So I think the biggest selling point for this camera will be the close-up mode with parallax correction. So parallax, according to Google, just want to make sure I explain this right, is the apparent shift in the position of an object when viewed from different positions. So if you've never used an Instax camera, the viewfinder, I don't think any of them are directly above the lens. So you kind of, let me see if I can find a camera so I can show you guys. Hold on one second. All right, so here's the lens for the Mini 99 here, but the viewfinder is here. So the viewfinder and the lens aren't directly on top of each other, and so what you're seeing is not quite what your camera's seeing. So when you try to center something, if you don't correct for the parallax, it won't be centered in the photo. So we'll talk more about this parallax correction, but yeah, I think this would be the biggest selling feature. And this says updated, easily portable design. I think for the most part, most of the minis are portable, so availability, so it will be available at the end of April, so the end of this month, you can get your hands on it. Yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty from like Fujifilm. Let's switch over to like the Instax Mini 41 page. So I haven't actually looked through this, so we'll look at this together. So this is what it looks like. It looks nice. It's got kind of a textured lower half of his body, a smoother top, and then I like the little orange accents. But it says, develop your style, Instax Mini 41, sleek design, make a statement, automatically finds your best light, and then twist the lens for perfect close-up shots. So some cool looking people. So this is the guy here that originally on the Instagram account, you could see the pixelated version of his photo. All right, so yep, let's talk about product design. So this is what it looks like here. You got sides, the front, full side, and then the back. All right, so let's look at the front of the camera. You have the viewfinder, the shutter button, the flash. I'm assuming these are the sensors. And then you have the main lens here and the selfie mirror. And then you also have some cool orange accents. It says Instax Mini 41. And the lens is a 60mm, I think, and has a focal range of 0.3 meters to infinity. On the side of the camera, you can see the close-up and on options, and then you have the shoulder strap, or like the wrist strap section right here, and it's also the same on the other side for the wrist strap. For the back of the camera, you have the door latch, the actual door. Here's the spot where you can check and see if you have film. You'll see like a little yellow area here. You have the viewfinder, a thumb rest. This is the battery door. And then this tells you how many shots you have left of film. A little tutorial video. Let's talk about some of the features. All right, so feature number one, classic design. It does look nice. I definitely like this design over the like Mini 11, Mini 12, like the super colorful ones. I love purple, but those are just a little much for me. And it's also definitely more square than you see the Mini 11s and 12s and so on and so on. Again, talking about their automatic light adjustment. It says it takes beautiful photos, whatever the lighting. So that will be interesting. See how that performs. And then again, I think the biggest selling point here is going to be the close-up mode. So it says the ideal distance for this is 30 to 50 centimeters. I think it's like 1 or 2 inches. So I think it will take some practice to figure out how far you can get or how close you can get with close-up mode. But here's an example of like what your image will look like if you don't use close-up mode. So if you're trying to get kind of like a close-up shot, but don't use close-up mode, this is the parallax. So in your viewfinder, you will see, the image is centered, but when you take the photo, it won't be centered in the image. But with the close-up mode on, you should be able to center your image as you see it. All right, and then just more photos. So they got some attachments. So it comes with a hand strap, so you can see that. And there are hand strap holders, I think, on both sides of the camera. And then accessories. So I actually really do like this bag. I think it's very cute. I think this is probably the first like official Instax bag that I would actually buy. But yeah, it's just a little camera case. I like the little orange accent here. And then yeah, it talks about the Instax Up app. All right, so if you guys want to see an actual like first look, somebody with their hands on the camera, check out the Fuji guys. They, I guess, got their hands on the camera beforehand, and they've done kind of a little first look video. So I'm not gonna play the sound. I'm just gonna kind of scroll through the video and point out some things. I've already watched it, so we're just gonna go through it. So this again is what the camera looks like. Talk about it. Show you what's in the box. So you get kind of standard things: the strap, the camera, some batteries, the manual. Nothing super special about, nothing super different than you normally get in an Instax camera. All right, here is just another side angle where you can see, you turn on the camera and then you have the close up. So those are pretty much the only two options for this camera as far as modes go. Some Instax cameras you can have like from 0.3 meters to 0.9 meters, and then 0.9 to 3 meters, and like 3 meters to infinity. But this one literally just has on and close up. So here he's showing himself taking a selfie. Let me see. And then this is just kind of a close up. So again, the viewfinder, the flash, the shutter button. Here's the selfie mirror. Nothing super different. Strap. So here's what I wanted to share with you guys. So here they're going to show what it looks like when you use close-up mode. So I don't know if you guys saw that. I'll quit talking for a second. Just watch. All right, so when you go into close-up mode, your viewfinder actually shifts. So you'll start in, okay, it won't let me. You're gonna start in normal mode. So here, if you're not in close-up mode, this is just what you will see in viewfinder. If you get closer, or you switch to close-up mode, then it shifts. So see how it's kind of a little off center now? And that's because as you get closer to your image, the parallax gets more prominent. And so if he was closer to this image and shifted, you should see the image move more to the center, if that makes sense. I don't know if he does, if he shows anything else again. So here is the 30 to 50 centimeters that I was talking about. So what I'm trying to explain here is basically when you turn on the close-up mode, your viewfinder shifts, and then you can adjust where your camera is pointing so that when you center the image in the viewfinder, it's actually centered via the lens, and so your subject will come out in the center of your photo. All right, and here again, we are looking, or not again, but here we are looking at the case. And like I said, I actually think this case is cute. It's probably the first, like I said, the first actual Instax branded case that I would consider getting if I got this camera. Oh, another thing I find interesting is that they're really pushing the Instax Up app. And so in both this video and in the tutorial video, at the end they talk about the Instax Up app. So the app is free for people. And I wonder if they're just trying to get more traffic to it because a lot of people don't use it. But yeah, they talk about the Instax Up app, you know, for pretty much the end of this video. All right, so that's just kind of what I want to share from that video. All right, so let me give kind of my final thoughts about this. So who is this camera for? I would say this camera is for someone who wants a very simple instant camera, but wants, and you know, shoots mini format, but wants one that doesn't look like a toy. And while this is not like a metal beast or anything like that, it does look a bit more, like I said, mature / adultish than a Mini 11 or a Mini 12. So this definitely looks like a grown-up camera. I feel like if you want a camera where you're not gonna be like stared at, like why does this grown person have this, you know, bright purple camera, then this camera might be for you. Also, if you're like big into selfies, or if you think you're gonna do a lot of closer photography, then again, I think this might be a good camera for you, especially if the viewfinder correction for parallax works as well as it seems to work in kind of the promo stuff. If you're wanting a camera that has a little more control, then this camera probably isn't for you. Like I said, the only options you really have are on and close-up mode. Like you can't turn the flash on and off, you can't use exposure compensation, it doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. So will I get this camera? Do I need it? No. But I really want to try out the close-up feature and, like I said, the viewfinder correction and see if it works as well as it appears to work. And maybe even compare it to my Mini 99, which I think is until this one, the latest mini format camera. Just to see like image quality, that kind of stuff. I'm curious to see if I can guesstimate like with my eyes to center an image as well as say the viewfinder correction can. Probably not, but it might just be a fun test to do. So I went to the Best Buy website to check out and see if they had this camera available, and you can't pre-order it yet, but it does have a release date of April 17th, so that's I think next Friday. It does say the camera will be 99 bucks, which is pretty much not too crazy for what the camera is with like the new little feature that it has. So yeah, I'll probably end up getting this camera. Like I said, if nothing else, to at least test it out. Let's check right quick and see if there are any crazy information. Less than a pound, so 0.76 pounds. It's about 3 by 5 by 4 inches, so nothing too crazy. Comes with batteries. Prints 2x3s. Shutter speed, a half a second to 1/250 of a second. No self timer. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I'll set up a notification to see when it goes on pre-sale. I'm curious again if it's going to stay at the $99 or, like I said, with the whole tariff situation for America, if that price is going to increase. I think the instant film market is getting older, and I think maybe Fujifilm is starting to realize that, and so they're making cameras to kind of grow with their demographic. So I am still not super excited about this in the sense of it's not a new square camera, but I am, like I said, always happy that Instax is releasing, or Fujifilm is releasing, instant cameras, because that means they at least have some faith that, if nothing else, the mini format will stick around for a little bit longer. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like this camera? Do you like the design? Are you excited about it? Did you think it was going to be a square camera? I think that's it. So until next time, keep practicing, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.